Hey friends, I am gonna do. I'm prepping this bed. I've harvested my sunchokes, and I'm gonna prep this bed, plant some snow peas in here, and some sunchokes and stuff. But it's a good time to do a soil pH test. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this store-bought pH tester that I got from Massive hardware chain store that is probably in your town and muscling out small businesses. But it's really easy to use. I'll go over it. But pH, just quickly, don't want to overcomplicate it because it's not worth overcomplicating. Your pH is probably fine unless you are sitting on some like a site that's just been built. Your pH is probably fine, but just to go over it, pH is the bioavailability of nutrients, micro and macro nutrients, based on the acidity or alkalinity of your soil. So everything has every living thing has a pH, even humans do, and things can be acidic or alkaline. And don't let those words scare you. People think acid and they think melting faces. It's not like that at all. It's more just whether nutrients are available, not whether nutrients are there. But the acidity or alkalinity of soil can mean that a plant can uptake nutrients that are there or may not be able to uptake nutrients that are there. And different plants have different preferred pH ranges. For example, most vegetables prefer a more acidic soil environment, and that's, when 7 is at the middle, then we're talking 6. So it's not a huge concern for your average backyard gardener like us, but it is just something to be aware of, and it can help you make more informed choices about what additions you put in your soil. So we got our tester, we got our soil. Let's do a pH test. All right, it's pretty simple. You put your soil on your little plate there. Okay, it comes in the kit. Then you're going to drop this dye on there. Then you're going to put this barium sulfate. It makes me sound very smart when I say that. Tip a bit of that on top of that dye. That's a powder. And then in a few seconds, the bit that you've tipped the powder, that powder will go a different color. And depending on what that color is, you match it up to this card here and it tells you your pH. And it isn't completely exact, but we don't need exact figures. If we went truly exact, it would be kind of redundant. We just don't need it. So we'll get this foolproof lid off. That's child safe lid. And then, because I like to get this sort of done quickly, I'll shake up the powder. So I've got plenty of powder available. Give it a few drops there. Spray that on there. There we go, give it a few seconds. I can already see it changing colour. I don't know if you can. Maybe I can get that to focus a little bit better. But I can see here, it's kind of 6.5. 6.5, what do you guys reckon? I reckon that's about a 6.5, maybe a 7. It could stand to be a bit more acidic. I'm planting snow peas in here and they prefer a pH range of somewhere around the 6 to 7-ish mark. So it doesn't really matter to us, and it generally doesn't mean a whole lot to your average gardener. So, as I said, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to have a real problem with acidic or alkaline soil. If your soil is too alkaline, such as like a 7 or above, the best thing to do is to add compost. Adding organic matter solves pretty much any problem in soil. There are a few problems I can think of that organic matter won't solve. So compost over there. Get some compost, high quality compost, put it in there. Worms, chuck some worms in there. If your soil is too far on the alkaline side, you know, and you got to acidify it, pardon me there, things like, you know, manure, various kinds of animal manure, rabbit manure, of course, solves all problems. I could cure COVID with rabbit manure, but that's another video. Coffee grounds, you know, all those sorts of things will help to acidify alkaline soil. And if your soil is too acidic, such as we're talking like 5.5 below, add organic matter. Compost with eggshells and wood ash. You might hear about things like peat moss to acidify soil. Peat moss takes a long time to produce in nature, so the advice now is to not buy peat moss because harvesting it's a finite resource and we're running out quickly, and there's just better ways to do it. But with any kind of natural gardening, it takes a long time to do. So, you know, it's April 1st now. None of this is a joke, by the way, except for my face. But, you know, it is April 1st, so any additions that you want to make to your springtime garden, start making them now. You know, fall and winter are all about soil. So if you're doing a pH test now, great, do that pH test and start making your additions to soil if you need it. But again, if you're anywhere in Sydney, it's so unlikely that you're going to have such a big problem. You know, and these tests, you know, I bought this years ago and I'm not even halfway through it, and I use it a fair bit. So my best advice would be to try and borrow one. If you're in my neighborhood, come and ask me, I'll lend you mine. We can talk about dirt all day, but that's it. pH can be super complicated, doesn't need to be. Just yeah, 6 to 7, that's what you need. Tomatoes might like a 5.5, but yeah, pretty simple stuff. Hooroo, have fun.